we'll move on to our first week of week 3, which is I believe this is
Oh God, it's
Gemma
me.
and Helios. You see a couple of more interesting. First thing that I'm actually looking at is the terrace because it looks a little all over the place. The first thing I'm looking at, which is Flying Terror from the Genkai, which I mean, the only thing I can see that being for is a ground move from Mammoth Swiper. You're still threatened by the ice move. If you're gonna like have a ground like resistant Terra in the Mammal, at least like run like bug. Like you can see, oh yeah, but you'll be weak to the fire moves from the sun. But like I guarantee you the Gengar is not bulky enough to be living a fire move from the fire mons, even with the flying Terra. So this does look pretty scary because I do think that Gemma's team, her main way of like stalling out shit is with screens and fake out. We can't exactly fake out the ghost type evolution Hisui. So uh I do think that probably has to use Terra like with Blast like she has to use Blastoise and Terra with Gyapdos to be able to deal with the Sun mode. Whereas Helios just has to focus around being able to position his mons well. Um, yeah, just not allowing Gemma to stall out with him out with stuff like fake out and screens, maybe. We do see a Blastoise and Porygon Z lead. Expecting this to be a fake out Blastoise. The Yanmega is interesting. All I already know from Yanmega is that I see it run Hypnosis pretty often, can run Tailwind. Other than that, it could also be like offensive with Throat Spray Bug Buzz, but I'm quite surprised to see it being brought here. I'm not exactly sure why, but I guess we'll see. And this, I'm pretty sure, is just gonna be like Scarf Eruption, normal stuff. See first, Covert Cloak and Choice Specs. Covert Cloak is interesting because I mean you don't see a fake out user from Helios. Uh, I do believe that he does have like fake out user and on his bench that he hasn't brought, but you are going to see the Covert Cloak not being particularly useful. But this Porygon Z is a huge threat, and I do think that Helios is gonna find himself wanting to target this. However, unfortunately, it is Terra normal, which means it's not a fire resistant Terra. The Typhlosion, so he is pretty free to click like eruption into the slot.
I'll be
And the
so real with
Omega
you.
is
I forgot to say half of my taros for this game.
I mean, you can see like some that aren't the base typing, but
Yeah,
I thought that this gets me like Terra normal adaptability specs, like that kind of like nonsense. Just the interesting thing about adaptability Porygon Z is that you can click like specs adaptability Terra Blast, which with a different Terra type, when you have adaptability Terra Blast specs, it's still gonna like do great damage with its normal typing. But if you need to change the typing of Terra Blast, it's still gonna get all the bonuses of like your adaptability and specs and a different typing of your Terra Blast when you want to. So that's normally a cool set with Farragon C, but I mean, that being Terra normal means, well, just doesn't get the benefit of being able to change typing of your attack. Yeah, the Mega protects, Typhlosion protects. So you can see Fake Out is scouted, and the Typhlosion is the target of the Porygon Z, which is Spec Shat Ball. Unfortunately now that because there is a double attack which uh, one reveals that it's not Scarf, but two, it doesn't really matter because Typhlosion actually outspeeds these two mods, and the Porygon Z is going to be able to be vulnerable to a double target from these two mods because it's not because of choice specs, it's not going to be able to protect itself, and Blastoise has already burned its fake out. So I do think that the frequency kind of is forced to switch out here. Are not. Uh that's shocking. Because you do see that okay, the Omega has clicked Sunny Day, which is very funny because you already have Ninetales, so why do you need to click Sunny Day on your Omega? I guess it's in case of the Morgram running Prankster Rain Dance. And so this is like a fast Sunny Day user that instant Prankster. So you can set up the Sunny Day, but you do see that Helios has probably greeted Modest on his Typhlosion, and Gemma has probably run a timid Porygon Z, which means that Porygon Z, even though it's Specs and not Scarf, has somehow outspent the Typhlosion. Which means that even though it burns Terra to click Eruption, it's not even picking up the KO in the sun because it's at 40%. So that's a oopsie whoopsie from Helios. And see, it's Life Orb, and you do see a Rain Dance that's clicked. I don't think Gemma was necessarily expecting the Sunny Day from Yomega. She probably just wanted to reduce the damage, fire damage coming from Typhlosion, or maybe anticipating a possible Ninetales switch in. But if Ninetales had swapped in, it would have had the exact same effect. So, uh, yeah, that was a bad turn from Helios. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't think Rain Dance really does much. I would much prefer the Blastoise actually click an attack to either like finish off the Typhlosion or break a possible stash on the Yanmega. But this Typhlosion is pretty much out of the game. You do get to see the Tailwind coming from the Yanmega, which allows the Typhlosion to attack first, but yeah, it's not going to do a lot of damage. So you do see Typhlosion does go down to the Muddy Water of Blastoise. The miss onto Yamega is a little unfortunate, but I do think Gemma's in a pretty good position right now, anyways. You see a Sludge Wave come out. Does have to the you see doing have to Gyarados, and even though Dragonology is a pretty slow mon under the tailwind, you do see that it's still able to outspeed the Zapdos Galar. So if Gemma is able to take out a Yamega and start the tailwind, she probably wins. But it does look like this Dragonology is pretty scary right now. Unfortunately, the Dragonology can't keep clicking Sludge Wave because the Yamega is going to be hit by that move, and it was able to click that turn because Yamega click Protect, but unless you're yeah, I do see that as a Steel Terra Yanmega, which would have been able to sit beside this and let the Dragonology click Sludge Wave over and over, but because he already burned Fire Terra and Typhlosion, it's not going to be possible anymore. So Dragonology probably is going to be forced to click something like Dragon Pulse or like Sludge Bomb this turn, which means that it's not going to be able to get off as much damage output, which also means, again, I do think that Yanmega is currently probably Gemma's target, because I don't think either of these two mons does good damage into the Dragonology. We see Sunny Day come out once more, which you do see Scorching Sands on the Magma, but that does no damage. Muddy Water misses again, which is really unfortunate. But it also like doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things because I really do think that Yamega should have been the target, which would have been bad for Helios if the fire move came up from Magmar into the slot because he clicked Sunny Day for it. But yeah, Scorching Sands was not a click because see it doesn't do relevant damage. Now the Yamega is going to be able to click Protect again, and Sludge Wave is going to be able to click from Chikauji again, and Gemma doesn't have a really good play to count that. You see a switch up from Blastoise, but oh, you do just see a double. I don't know if I like that play necessarily from Helios because I don't see what was stopping him from just clicking Protect the Sludge Wave. Like the two mods were not going to be able to kill the good Chikauji ever. But I mean now you still see okay, Air Slash, Heat Wave, misses again. Dragon Pulse. I will say triple miss into the Young Mega is really unfortunate, but also I don't think it was relevant because the Magma didn't ever target a Young Mega on the turn that set up the Sunny Day. I do think that if the Magma had clicked Fire Move into the Young Mega on that turn, then the misses would have mattered. But from how this game went, even though thought is more unfortunate, unless the Muddy Water got like multiple accuracy drops and Helios missed his air slashes, it wouldn't have mattered. But even if there was an accuracy drop on the Yamega, then I do think he would just prioritize like protecting so that Dragalge could click Sludge Wave, or like and then Tailwind so that Dragalge can continue clicking Sludge Wave. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that game. On to game two. Uh, Again, yeah, just not quite sure what the adaptation is in Gemma. I think he just has a stronger game plan. I do think Typhlosion is it can still be good. The Young Mega just needs to prioritize clicking Tailwind instead of Sunny Day after the initial speed boost. We see Gengar next to Porygon Z, and we do see the Dragalge lead with the Young Mega now. But you do see the Specs that's ability Tri Attack does a ton to the Porygon. And we see Trick Room coming out from the Gengar. Uh,
I
Here's the
expected
thing.
I expected the tailwind.
Yeah, I, 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 uh, I think Trick Room is an interesting tech into Helios team to see that most outside of Chikalji, most of the mods that he brought are pretty fast. But I think realistically speaking, the Young Mega was always clicking Protector one because of Gengar outspeeding Young Mega naturally. Because what Gengar can do is just click Icy Wind, and then Young Mega, the Porygon Z could target Young Mega before he gets the Tailwind off. So I think Young Mega was always click and protect, and so the Trick Room, if the Tailwind was clicked, would have been a really good play. Unfortunately, the Gouge is the slowest mod in the field here, so clicking Trick Room here just enables Dragalge to um, just rip moves over and over into Gemma's team, which is really bad. She does make a very good play, switches out the Porygon C, knowing that the Dragalge, probably was just going to click Dragon Pulse again. I do think that if I were Helios, I would have just clicked Sludge Wave and maybe like click Terra on the Yen Mega because I do think that Sludge Wave still does a ton of Gengar. Now I do see a Shadow Ball come out into the Yen Mega, which is interesting. I do think that Gemma should be trying to prioritize this Dragalge because again, it's the slowest thing on the Trick Room, and Yamega would always move last with its constantly wrecking speed boost. But Dragalge is going to be able to rip off a Sludge Wave with a Yamega Protect. Fake Out goes into Yamega instead of the Dragalge, which, like I said, I think this is always clicking Protect and this is always clicking Sludge Wave, so I think the Fake Out into Dragalge should have been clicked. Which is also just really funny because like Dragalge is the by far more threatening one on the Trick Room, so why is the Yamega the one getting faked out? Curse Body does actually disable the Sludge Wave, but it's not going to click Sludge Wave this turn. Dracometer gets clicked into the Gyapdos. Gyapdos doesn't die, which either means that like it's just like a bit more bulkier train. Maybe it's Salt Fest, but I feel like it's not a Salt Fest from the Sludge Wave damage game one. So I think it's just bulky enough to lift that actually. Rayford comes out, but a recall is enough to take it out. Shadow Ball manages to finish off the Chikalji, but I think the damage might be done. You see a sash on the Gengar. and obviously you already know that this is specs. But it's gonna come down to who undispeeds who in this trick room, which I do think if like we saw that game one, the Typhlosion was slower than the Porygon, and the Porygon is slower than Gengar. So Typhlosion's gonna be able to click a very free eruption within this own trick room. But he opts to click protect instead. I mean I guess it doesn't matter. The Urkrit gets clicked, and the game wins. I guess he's a bit of chat here, but yeah, Gemma talking about the freaking tailwind. She said game one instead of turn one. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely Helios was not clicking tailwind on turn one.
Yeah, Helios and I were quite chatty in that game.
Yeah, I'm looking at this whole Yapatron. Oh. Yeah, get it. It's a cripple eruption, but like you could have just Delver protected and then like tailwind, and that would have been a 5 game plan again, which would have been even better into your lead because now there's not even a Blastoise that can actually like live the eruption. Like imagine if you let Yamega plus Typhlosion protect, and then tailwind eruption, or just wipe your board again. Or well, Gengar would have lived on what